Hello and welcome to episode 65. I almost stuffed up there. 65 of the Football Retro podcast. I'm your host, Johnny, and today I've got another full screen due to COVID in isolation. We're back on Zoom for one more episode. Fadi, Adasi, and Akram. How you going, guys? How you doing, Adasi?
I've seen better days. Seen better days. Mate, as you're wearing the gear, because of Messi, even though he's not there anymore. But it was I've seen many defeats in the past to the fierce rival, but this is probably the worst.
What are you talking about?
I think it's over Roma Lazio they played this morning, maybe.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the Roma one.
The other derby.
Yeah.
Is that the Derby della Donna, they call it? Roma Lazio, or is that the other one? I'm confused. Can Mr. Serie A tell us?
No, that's not what they call the derby over there for Lazio Roma.
So which one's the Derby della Donna, whatever the fuck it is?
Italia.
The question, because whenever Fatty says it, he just sounds like gibberish.
Oh, here we go.
The derby della.
Akram, how you going with your clean face?
Yeah. I mean, doing all right. It's been a pretty good day all in. Adasi's over there quite crestfallen. I've got to say, Adasi, you look more upset this week than last week when you had COVID.
Oh no, COVID was kind of it's going to happen, I guess. But this was just Anyway,
I mean,
do you want to get into it now? I don't know. It was just what can I say?
We'll jump into that soon.
I'm good as well. Thanks, guys. Thanks for fucking asking.
Yeah. I haven't got into you.
Arsenal one, you must be good.
Akram, how did you fuck up your beard?
Oh, mate, it was my daughter's fault.
Oh.
Me. Just
Interesting.
cut off a bit.
Surprised I didn't chop your earlobe off or something.
No, almost, mate, almost.
So, Fadi, you've officially changed your tune now. You're back into Arteta in.
No, I haven't changed my tune. I haven't said that. I said we've got to wait till the end of the season. There's still 10 games to go.
What he likes to do is not have a tune ever, so he can never risk being wrong. So it's just.
I said he's still fresh and he's not good enough, and what he's done isn't good. That's what I said.
Well, so far, overall, he's not doing too bad.
No, he hasn't done too badly now. He's turned it around compared to where he was last season. But you're gonna judge him at the end of the season, because after all this, he could still miss out on Europe. Then what? It's very tight. That race for the four is very, very tight.
Yeah. Well, hopefully, you guys finish on top of Man United. It's nice to see them suffer for a change. For those of us that grew up seeing him win premiership after premiership every year, it's not bad seeing him on the other end. Speaking of Europe, we had the draw come out last week. Obviously, some tough games in there. For me, the standouts, Real Madrid Chelsea is obviously a big one.
The replay, that's a grudge match, that one, for Chelsea anyway.
Especially after what happened last year. What do you guys think? Are you guys confident?
Oh, after this morning, no. Jeez, after the win against PSG, there was a lot of confidence was high going into that, and I thought last year's game against Chelsea, Zidane got it wrong in that game with his personnel, with his tactics. He kind of let himself down there, and I thought this year things are getting back on track with that win against PSG. But now with that loss, this hammering this morning, I just don't know. Just depends on if the main guys like Benzema, Modric are in form and fit, because Benzema missing this morning, you saw how toothless they were up front. So I guess a couple of weeks to go. There's an international break, don't forget, this weekend. So gonna have to just see how that pans out as well.
I personally think Ancelotti will bounce back and get it right. I don't see him as the type of manager to repeatedly make the same mistakes. He's been around for a very long time, and he's one of the better managers there. Like there's no club that wouldn't take Ancelotti as a manager. The experience that he brings, the knowledge, all that sort of stuff. So yes, he may get his tactics wrong every now and again, but I think they'll bounce back.
So being brave here, Chelsea or Real Madrid is going to go through? Give me a name.
I think Real Madrid. I don't think Chelsea are as ruthless as they were last season. For some reason, they're just not the same.
Very consistent as well. I've said that before.
I feel like Real Madrid will do it.
I agree. I say Real Madrid as well. You guys?
I think they will. They'll get the revenge, but it'll be close. But I think they'll get it this time.
Akram?
Yeah, no. I mean, I think I agree. I think it's unanimous here. I'm not taking the loss this morning as hard as a Darcy is. I'm not letting it affect my viewpoint of the squad or the club or the coach as much as I think a Darcy is. To be honest, it was a nice little game for Barcelona fans to make them feel like they had accomplished something this season. It was, a bit of a friendly for Real Madrid. It's not a big deal.
That's a shit attitude to have if you think
Oh.
a derby's are friendly. But anyways,
I have a couple of Real Madrid fans that I know that are going along the lines of, oh well, they're not going to win the league. We're pretty much ahead. It's just whatever. The game doesn't matter.
It's still a derby. You still want to win your derby.
Pride at stake, man. You can't say it like
you can't lose 4-0 at home. That's different.
They're trying to make themselves feel better.
We'll touch on that in a second. In regards to Real Madrid and Champions League, crazy stat that was shared. Was it yesterday or today? Real Madrid, every time they played against a defending champion in the knockout phase of the Champions League, they've gone to win the series and win the championship. So it's 4 times. Dortmund in 98. Do you guys remember what it was? Bayern Munich.
Bayern
Munich 98.
Yeah,
Bayern 2013-14.
Yeah, Bayern 2000. The Man United 2000.
That's right.
Yeah.
Dortmund, United in 2000, Munich in 02, Munich in 14. They've won the series and the Champions League. So if Real Madrid go through now and beat Chelsea, they're favourites to win the Champions League.
Hey, is that 2000? Is that their away black kit?
Yep.
I love that kit.
Against their old sponsor, Tekka.
Yeah, I love that kit, man. That's probably one of my favourite Real Madrid kits.
Back when we can relate to sponsors, now, with appliances and electricals, now it's like financial institutions, airlines and crap.
Crypto.
That's the thing with us. I never thought I could relate to a sponsor before.
JVC. I think of Arsenal JVC.
That's because you're anti-capitalist, Akram. That's why.
All right, quick one. Man City, Atletico. Who's going to go through?
I think Atletico. I reckon Simeone will get better at Pep.
Ooh, big call.
I mean, Adas, I'm not surprised you'd go that way because you never like giving Guardiola any credit.
I just think Simeone will get into his under his skin.
I know that's what you think, but it's like, come on, man, it's Guardiola, it's Man City. Like that's a big call to have, and good on you for having the big balls to do it. Unfortunately for me, I don't have as big a balls as you, mate. I'm gonna go Man City.
I think Man City as well.
Same. I think Man City will make it and get through.
And I think I may be wrong here because it does prove us wrong, but the next 2 games seem pretty straightforward. Benfica and Liverpool. I can't see Liverpool losing this one.
No, it's got to be a massive surprise for Liverpool to get knocked out. When I saw the draw, I'm like, of course Liverpool gets the easy run. So I don't know, but I think they should roll Benfica fairly comfortably, especially at home. Benfica might have a chance to nab something or nab a goal or so at home, but Liverpool at home, too strong. I doubt Benfica would have any chance.
Yeah, I agree. I think Liverpool. I think their attack they got so much depth there. You got Mane, Salah, Diogo Jota playing a great season. Luis Diaz. Now then you got Firmino as well. So I think they just have a bit too much quality.
I think it's funny because I think over the 65 episodes we've done it, I've always kind of tried to rebel against Fatty and your anti-Liverpool stance, Johnny. But I got to say, more and more, Liverpool will probably win, but I really don't want them to anymore. I mean, I don't know if any of you guys noticed. I know you guys don't follow Football Retro on Twitter, Fatty or Darcy, but Johnny GC on Twitter, put in Van Dijk. Look at these people, man.
Yeah, no,
I try to stay off Twitter. It's too leftist for my liking.
The whole thing, gracious, here is that Bayern Munich against Villarreal, we all think, I assume, Bayern Munich's going to go through with that one. Yeah. And it'll be a Bayern-Liverpool semi-final there, which is not as easy for Klopp.
I hope Emery can get Bayern, though, somehow. Miraculous. That'd be awesome.
No, I don't agree, Darcy, because if Emery gets through, then Liverpool will get past Villarreal comfortably. I'd rather Liverpool come up against Munich and get absolutely spanked, so we don't have to hear their shit anymore.
In Darcy's fantasy, though, they get past Munich and Liverpool.
Yeah,
that's a fantasy. That's an absolute fantasy. That one.
So here
right now.
we are assuming Liverpool buying one semi, Man City, Real Madrid in the other.
Yeah,
that's a good semi-finals for Champions League.
Right, yeah, big
Real Atletico for me.
Real Atletico for Darcy. That's a nice derby as well. For
another Madrid derby.
Speaking of derbies, let's get the show started now.
Welcome to the Football Retro Podcast.
The word welcome, I guess, is stretching it a little when you're an Australian in a place like this today.
Welcome back. Big show today. We had a big weekend of derbies all over the world. We mentioned Roma Lazio, obviously El Clasico or El Plastico from the atmosphere that I was listening to this morning. There was no one was chanting. Everyone was just taking photos.
They got deflated.
El Plastico.
Boca River was another one. I'm not sure if you guys knew this, but this weekend it was a derby weekend in Argentina. What that means that every round was a derby, which was very interesting because obviously every game becomes more interesting to the neutral spectator. It's a lot of rivalry, a lot of passion. So that was very, to the point where at one point I turned off Real Madrid Barcelona this morning to watch Estudiantes vs Gimnasia, which they almost punched on as always. So this is a big weekend. What I wanted to do here is big debate, obviously, in between fans. We speak about pride. We think about my team being bigger than yours. From a neutral point of view, from around the world, I'm going to mention a derby or two different teams without any previous research, because you guys don't know about this. I didn't tell you what the exact format of the episode was on purpose. Which club do we think is bigger? So when I say bigger, it can be following, it can be trophies won, it can be head-to-head between the two teams. It can be just perception.
Just your perception, yeah. So it's purely subjective.
100%. But it's good to get to know what fans out there think, what personal opinions are in regards to which club is bigger, this or this. For example, in Argentina, obviously, I know a lot more than you guys do. So I'm interested to know Boca or River. From an external point of view, knowing not too much about what happens in Argentinian football, what do you guys think? Who's bigger, Boca or River Plate?
I'm going to say River Plate. I just think that they're like known as the richer club. Is that, correct me if I'm wrong? They're like the more resources, financially strong. They had a good history, even though they did get relegated some time ago.
2011.
But other than that, I just feel like they're the bigger club.
I would have to say Boca for me. I feel like bigger following, grassroots. Anyone that goes to Argentina on any sort of football tour or anything would always want to go see Boca. Obviously, the Maradona link. For me, Boca will always pops up as the club.
Yeah, like I've got to say, like it's a funny one. I think River Plate. It definitely has a lot more connection to Real Madrid and their history, which is why I think Darcy is a little biased towards River.
Did I mention it?
As usual. Subconsciously you're biased without even knowing.
He thinks Higuain, Di Stefano, straight away thinks River Plate.
100%. I do. To be honest, I do too. And so, like, I always have a lot more of a soft side for River Plate. I obviously would prefer the River Plate to win in that derby. But I do agree with Fatty, shockingly, because he never usually has anything good to say. But shockingly, I agree with you, mate. I think Boca is the bigger club. Darcy, you were referring to, like the economic, it's a richer club. But from a global reputation, you think Maradona, you think, Carlos Tevez, you think, those icons of Boca. Riquelme, mate. Yeah, exactly. And so it just has that classic iconic feel. It feels like, and Johnny, correct me if I'm wrong, because you would obviously know, but it feels like almost every Argentinian player always talks about how they always want to go play for fucking Boca, right? So it just seems like it's the Real Madrid of Argentina.
Oh, wow.
And then he ruined all his good point by talking shit at the end.
You are right. But the media has a lot to do with that as well. The media...
Johnny. Media influences people.
A person farts wearing a Boca jersey and headline, like it's That's all they talk about over there. Every sports news outlet is Boca, River, Boca, River. So obviously that elevates them two teams. And I've said it before, budget-wise and resources-wise and everything else are one step above everyone else. Everything on the news is just them two teams and everyone else is below. In regards to the head-to-head, looking at stats alone, River Plate's always been known to be more successful domestically and Boca international stage. So there's 6 Libertadores to 4. There's 36 domestic titles to 27 River Plate's way. Branding wise, I think Boca's done a better job in the last 20 or so years to overtake River Plate. In the 90s, it was all River Plate. And you would say River's bigger than Boca. The last 20 years, I think they've got about 50,000 more members worldwide compared to River Plate. I think the Maradona link is massive. But as much as I hate Boca, I hate both of them, but as much as I hate Boca because of the corruption and the mafia and stuff, I do think that they've overtaken from a branding point of view as the biggest club in Argentina, if not the biggest club in America, South America.
That's a fair call. I agree with that. The only other bigger clubs that would come close, you'd have to pick a Brazilian club. Because I don't think any other, there's other big-ish clubs, Chilean clubs, but I would say if you had to pick the biggest club in South America, it would be between a Brazilian and an Argentinian.
The biggest following, I think, is Flamengo in Brazil, and they've recently won the second Libertadores not long ago. So in terms of success and stuff as well, Boca Stadium is iconic as well, just the way it's half built. It's fucking disgusting there. I've been there 3 times, and as an away fan,
it looks great though. It looks great.
Atmosphere, and it really does shake. It bounces. Whenever the whole stadium bounces, you're in the top tier, and the whole stadium bounces.
Well, definitely on my bucket list of if I ever go to South America one day to River Boca match, I have to go watch that. That's definitely.
I can tell you some stories about that. We were hit by cops. We were spat on with blood. It wasn't the away trips to Boca Stadium weren't fun. They cut 40 degrees Celsius days and they cut the water from the away fence. So I had to go half time into the houses and buy drinks off people's fridges. It was legit.
The only 2 teams to contest the Copa Libertadores final outside of South America.
In Madrid.
At the Bernabeu, yeah.
9th of December 2018.
Because, I told you to tell your Argentinian colleagues to keep the place in order. Don't trash the place. And I think they did it.
Speaking of trashing the place, Adasi. Speaking of trashing the Bernabeu. There was a bit of a raping this morning.
Oh, mate. That was.
I heard Vinicius left pregnant.
Wow.
He didn't have a good game, Vinicius. That first half, he threw on goal, going to ground. Look, that just summed up the night. And if in case you're wondering why they were wearing the alternative jerseys,
yes, I asked that.
Excuse me, Real Madrid celebrated 120th anniversary 2 weeks ago, and that commemorated that. So because of that, Barcelona's home kit would clash with that. So that's why, which to me looked awful. You used to white and red and blue.
Yeah,
it just did not look like a Classico on TV. I don't know.
Did it? After the 4th goal, I'm sure it felt like one, so it's all good.
Honestly, if it wasn't for Courtois, it could have been 6-0. That's how bad it was. I think.
Wow.
What a striker Barcelona have though, eh, Fatty?
Oh, please, Johnny. He's obviously gone to a lesser league. That's why he's performing.
Akram, pium, pium, pium. That was a shot at you, mate. That's a shot at you.
Like it's a 2-team league. He can save his performance for 1 game, 2 games a season, and that's it.
You think it's got nothing to do with he feels more comfortable in the team? He's fitted better in the Xavi system.
No, all jokes aside, Aubameyang got to a point where he fell out of favour at Arsenal because his mind just wasn't there. He didn't buy into the philosophy. He didn't buy into what Arteta was doing. He wasn't reporting for training. He was away doing whatever. He had his mind set on a move away. So once you're distracted as a player from where you are, it doesn't matter what you're going to do. You're never going to perform. So he needed that change. Does Barcelona's system suit him? So far, he's performed well. So it's I guess time will tell. But good on him that he's found his feet. I always thought he was a great striker. He was obviously fantastic at Dortmund, and I was surprised that we even nabbed him in the first place. I would have loved to see him achieve something or stay a little longer at Arsenal. But
Is
good
that a
luck to him.
permanent transfer or is he on loan? I forgot. Is he,
No, I'm pretty sure it's permanent.
I think he's
Oh,
left.
wow.
Yeah, I think they got him.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Credit to Xavi as well, because if Koeman was coaching this game, I don't think it would end up like the way he did. And I think he's been able to turn Barcelona around with a team with no identity, struggling to perform in the last 5 to 6 games. Not only did they win, but they won the Barcelona way. So credit to Xavi as well for what he did. I see you shaking your head, Akram. Yeah.
Yeah, no. I mean, I suppose you're right. I said it to you.
I suppose you're right. He
Yeah, I
says.
suppose. I guess.
Wow.
Reluctantly, I agree with you.
Very reluctantly. I said it to you a few weeks ago that Barca were looking like sneakily good all of a sudden with some of the moves they made in January and some of the transfer decisions that they're looking to make in the summer. Chelsea loses another player of talent in Andreas Christensen in the summer for Barcelona. So they're starting to build up a really decent squad.
And that's Biliqueta on the books as well. Not confirmed. It's not here we go, but it's almost there.
So, one or two more acquisitions and they could actually be right up back in top of Europe's elite very quickly. For me, it's like I said at the beginning of the episode, I just think it was Real Madrid complacency. I think they've been through a lot of big games. They missed their inspirational leader in Benzema. And it's just taking the lead for granted a little bit.
It's a big call.
Not a stat as well.
Is he not? Like,
I wouldn't say inspirational leader. I would say that about someone like Ramos. I wouldn't say that about Benzema.
Another stat. This is the 6th Clasico since Hazard has joined Real Madrid. And how many minutes has he played? Freaking donut.
It's so burning. Look how angry he is. I've never seen him so upset. Fucking hell.
I swear.
What happened to him this morning at Darcy?
He didn't come off the bench at all.
Oh, he was on the bench, but
he wasn't the bench. And worse, Bale was not in the squad because he's saving himself for the Wales games, I think. That's what I heard. So these guys are the highest paid players on the team and they just they're just mailing it in.
I don't care. Well, whose fault is that?
Is Hazard still fat?
I don't know. They put trading montages. Oh, he does this flick here, this, that, and
he doesn't get off the bench for you to see his physique, so nobody actually knows.
That ever since the beginning of us doing this podcast, this is the 3rd time Darcy has made his comment.
I think the blame has to lay solely with your mate Darcy.
Perez. Yeah, well, unfortunately, a lot of people are at fault. Anyway, hasn't played a Clasico in 3 years. Then I wonder if we've got the receipt because I would like to get a refund from Chelsea. They're laughing. Chelsea's laughing.
The receipt.
He's angry.
This isn't a big W.
I heard Arsenal might get him though. So do you want him?
Yeah, for Arsenal, he'll be a step up.
I reckon he'll perform though.
Yeah,
he's probably over the bullshit in La Liga.
He did really well in Chelsea.
He did one season he didn't do much, but except that goal against Leicester. But they won the title for Leicester. And then that's the thing, he coasted through. And that's the thing, he's relied on that for his career, that he relied on his talent alone without hard work. And it doesn't work that way.
How do you know he's not working hard though?
But they said, he got teammates that said he'll just rock up and use his talent alone to get through games. Like he'd come to train, like preseason training overweight and this and that.
Look, Real Madrid will win La Liga. They'll be contenders for the Champions League. Long term, Akram's right. It's a dark patch. A dark patch because it happened in the Bernabeu as well. No. So it's a stain in what a great season it will be for Real Madrid, and he'll stay in the history because losing 4-0 at home is not a small thing. But Real Madrid will have a better season than Barcelona overall.
100%.
Which brings me to the next question. Which one's the bigger club overall?
Oh, my goodness, Johnny.
What a biased question.
Like, I don't know. You can't ask us. Can we answer? I don't know. Can we answer that?
Like,
I'll take it one step further. Okay. I think Real Madrid is the biggest club in the world. So not just between Barcelona and Real Madrid, but football-wise, which is the biggest sport in the world, Real Madrid is the biggest club in the biggest sport in the world. And that's part of, not my dislike, but no offense to you guys, but my lack of respect towards Real Madrid fans around the world, because it's easy to pick the biggest club in the world to follow.
Akram, he disrespects you, is what he's saying. He says you're a piece of shit. He doesn't respect
Like,
you.
I go back to Argentina, right? People who don't know football will go for Boca River because you go for Boca River. Then you got around the world, people who just follow a club in the world, they'll go for Real Madrid because back then because Ronaldo played there, because Beckham went there.
But that's the thing. That was more towards the early 2000s when the Galactico era, when they signed Figo, Zidane, Ronaldo, Beckham. That's when you started seeing Real Madrid jerseys in like Best and Less, Kmart, things like that. But before that, in the late 90s, when I first watched Real Madrid, I think on World Soccer. Remember those days on SBS, World Soccer? When I first watched them, they were nowhere near as popular. Like, not many people recognize them compared to like your Man Uniteds, your Arsenal, your Liverpools back then.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
I mean, to be honest, like it's not that I disagree with Johnny on that statement that he, but for me, it's like I find from personal experience, I find it very skewed towards Premier League. So, I'm not sure in Australia, it's not really the case about Real Madrid, Johnny. In Australia,
I don't overall, like if you enjoy football, why not go for I don't know, Sevilla, Valencia, Atletico?
It's also a branding thing, Johnny, and it's a marketing thing.
That's what La Liga lacks.
And these big clubs rely on that marketing. Like, for example, I'll talk about something that I know. Man United is one of those clubs, right? Globally big. But why is that? Man United always used to do their preseason tours in Asia. Big following, big money. Not because they know anything about it, but it was all a marketing thing. They'd go to Asia and you'd have all these people fawning over them. Man United, and they just expanded their supporter base. Real Madrid did the same thing. They'd have pre-seasons everywhere. So that's what it was. They don't do it as much. Obviously, the last 2 years, COVID's changed a lot of things. Teams don't do that anymore. But
yeah.
I remember in the early 2000s, it was a big thing. You would look at the big clubs and see where their pre-season tours were. So they were focusing heavily on marketing and growing a global fan base. And that's why a lot of people will do that. It's the same with international tournaments. For example, every Iraqi goes for Brazil. They wouldn't even know how to spell Brazil, but hey, let's support Brazil in the World Cup. Brazil wins and they went, put their jerseys on and drive around Fairfield like they know what the fuck happened. But
a lot of Indians follow Argentina as well.
Maybe
we've got a big Messi following.
Do you have a lot of Indians in Argentina actually?
No, we're too racist to have them there.
Yeah, probably. So who runs your servers and that?
Asians. No, the Asians have the grocery stores.
But Indians are technically Asians. So what kind of Asians are you?
In Argentina, whether you're Korean, Japanese, or whatever, or Chinese, you are known as Chino. Everyone's Chino.
Recoba.
But what kind of Asians are you referring to? Like what country?
Koreans, Chinese.
What do they do there? Do they speak Spanish?
They run the grocery stores.
Do they speak Spanish?
With an accent.
Oh, really? How?
Spins you out when you go there. Back to the topic. So Real Madrid, obviously, you mentioned Man United, Fatty. Let me ask you, Man United or Liverpool?
Globally, Man United. In England, I would say Liverpool. But globally, Man United, definitely. On a global scale, Man United much bigger.
I'd say that too, globally, Man United. But in terms of success-wise, I think Liverpool have the edge. Is that right?
Well, it depends what you count. United fans like to count since the inception of the Premier League, and Liverpool fans like to count from the inception of football in England because that's when they have more trophies. Because they've only won the Premier League,
once.
Recently.
Yeah.
They do have more Champions Leagues as well.
Hey,
like I said, Paddy, I've been boarding the anti-Liverpool train lately, but I think that is a fair thing to do is, to count all of football that's been played in its history. I don't know why Man United fans would only want to count from the inception of the Premier League. That's just like that. Talk about that skewing your statistics very much.
Because it suits them.
Yeah, fucking hell.
Well, let's look at the head-to-head, right? When the two teams played against each other, that's a big factor in regards to seeing if there's much advantage over one or the other. Man United have won 81 times and Liverpool 69. So there's a 12-game gap there, which surprised me a little bit. I thought it would be much closer than that.
Yeah, it could be that in the 90s, the Man United dominance of the 90s probably shifted that towards Manchester.
Oh yeah, and I mean in the 90s and the early 2000 period of time, from 2000 to 2010, Man United were just as dominant as they were in the 90s. And to be honest, Liverpool has in the last 20 years, Liverpool's had a fairly pedestrian 2 decades. It's only in the last 5-6 years that they've actually become a powerful club again. But prior to that, it was really just a club with a big name and a big history.
Correct. Why
So
are we agreeing so much today?
We all agree on Man United then.
Yeah.
Akram, who would the rival for Juventus be? Because I've got here Inter Milan as being the head-to-head.
Yeah,
I'm zoning out of this one.
Sorry, Fatty, what was that?
I'm zoning out of this one.
You don't like quality football?
No, we're talking about the 80s and Serie A was good in the 80s. And it's just living in the past.
Is this something you've heard before, is it?
Broken record, mate, Akram. He's going to tell me about. He's going to start talking somehow about how Baggio was bigger at other clubs, but it was only known in Juventus. And
all right,
no,
Akram, Juve, Inter.
Like, how's that even a compare? It's not even close.
Really? Well, then you go first, smart one.
Not even close.
All right, then you go first.
Any normal fan around the world will say Juventus. Simple.
You reckon? I mean,
when you've won 73 Serie A Scudettos in a row, what do you expect? There's no competition in that league. People only know one club. They think there's only one team in the whole league.
Mate, but the thing is, it's like you said before about branding. I think Inter have done really well at branding, and because they've had a lot of European success, the period of time with Mourinho when they won in 2010, they seem to have quite a large following outside of Italy. Getting that late 90s push where with R9 really, expanded their brand quite largely. And Juventus, while Juventus have always been successful, I think they've really had a lot of catching up to do to Milan and Inter on the marketing side. They've focused really on trying to dominate Italy, and it's kind of like that Man United Liverpool comparison where they definitely have tried to get the majority of Italy fans who are neutral would swing to Juventus, but globally I think Milan and Inter probably have done a better job.
37 titles to 19 Juve over Inter, but Champions League Juve has only won 2.
Yeah. And as we know from European Cups, they tend to be the trophies that do expand your brand a lot more.
Yeah, they've been in a few finals since in the 90s onwards, and they've lost a fair bit.
Against Dortmund, against Barcelona, against Real Madrid.
What was their last final? Against
Real Madrid.
Real Madrid, that's right.
4-1. And then lost to Milan as well in the All-Italian final in 2003.
Milan was different back then, though. Milan would have been favourites for that in that era.
Yeah,
so for such a big club like Juventus to only have 2 Champions Leagues, they've got the same amount of Champions Leagues as Chelsea, so as a measuring tool.
Yeah, but Chelsea bought that with blood money.
Blood diamond.
Oil money.
Look, another one that's not even a comparison is Bayern and Dortmund.
Yeah.
There's no questions in which one's the bigger club. Even the head-to-head is disgusting. It's 64 to 32. That's exactly double.
Bit of a letdown, and you think that they're going to challenge Bayern finally, then they're just choking too many games. I don't know. They're 6 points off now. This Bayern team isn't as strong as previous years from what I've seen, and they just can't take advantage of that. And then Dortmund are now kind of seen as a developing club where young talents go there, they develop, and then they get sold for a good amount of money.
Yeah.
To Bayern. To nowhere else, just to Bayern.
Here's a close one. Ajax and Feyenoord, once again, is not close. Ajax overtakes by a big jump, both in titles, in following.
Are you asking us or are you just telling us?
I'm telling you right now because I know what the answer is going to be. Unless you have any other input.
Our input doesn't matter, apparently.
Good. Fuck, you've learned. It's a bit of a Putin approach I'm doing today. Rangers, Celtic. when you think of the derby, which one do you think is the big club?
I think I'll go
straightforward.
Celtic.
Straightforward, Johnny. Again, global branding, Celtic,
Why?
because that's how it's marketed. Celtic are a bigger club in that sense globally. They've had more appearances in the Champions League, and as you said to yourself, the Champions League is what really puts clubs on the map. That international tournament. Rangers, how many times would they have played in the Champions League? I would say barely a handful of times.
Yeah, you don't seem to remember it much, do you?
No. And even if they did, it was never memorable. Celtic, a lot of memorable clashes, especially against Man United, so it always drew a lot of attention.
Celtic's also known for the support, like the travelling support. I think it was in 2003 UEFA Cup final against Porto in Seville, and they had like tens of thousands of people, not just outside the stadium. It was crazy. So they're known for very strong support as well.
Yeah, 100%. It's an easy one.
In the head-to-head though, Rangers have won more. In the domestic titles, Rangers have won more. It's funny though, isn't it? And I think
it's like in terms of what you're referring to in terms of a bigger club, it doesn't mean they're necessarily the more successful one, is it? It's just in terms of
no, it's a factor, but it's not.
Who's been able to achieve more widespread success, marketing-wise. Who's had more success in continental competition. So it's like those kind of things we find that like are more influential in terms of building a club.
Galatasaray, Fenerbahce.
Oh, I like that one. Traditionally, I would say Galatasaray again, from the Champions League involvement, UEFA Cup winners, so a bit more international thing about it. Arguably, easily one of the top two clubs in Turkey. Fenerbahce, not known outside of Turkey as much. So I think, for me, what determines how big a club is its international image in other countries. How the club is perceived in other countries, for me, determines how big it is.
So you're saying definitely Galatasaray?
Yeah.
I think so. I think Galatasaray at the time in the early 2000s, when clubs would struggle when they'd play there, they'd have such a hostile atmosphere.
Yeah.
And so many big clubs went there that they wouldn't come away with a victory. It was just something about them that was really hard to play against. I think that they'll shade it.
The head-to-head is interesting because Fenerbahce is on top, but like once again, it's just one stat. But you think, for some reason, the first impression is that Galatasaray is a big club. But it's interesting. Does any other ones that come to mind? Any other derbies? I've got a few here, like Nacional and Peñarol in Uruguay.
I would say Peñarol.
And I think Peñarol's done better once again in exporting, in the players that go to Europe as well. I mentioned Peñarol, like you said about Boca before. I said about Boca. Peñarol seems to be more popular that way. Uruguayan football in general has decreased in regards to competitions in the Libertadores and how they're performing, but those two teams obviously still stand out. And I think Peñarol's got the upper hand in that derby.
The other one,
and I hate Peñarol. What are you going to say, Fadi?
I was going to mention the Portuguese league.
Porto, Benfica.
Yeah, you've got Porto, Benfica. You can also throw Sporting Lisbon in there. Sporting Lisbon's known for producing young talent all the time, but so is Benfica. Benfica's got a great academy. Fantastic youth that always comes through Benfica.
Financially, Go
ahead, Darcy.
I was going to say Benfica known as well to make good profits from the players that they sell. Like over the years, Colin Trowell, Di Maria, had Pablo Aimar on the books as well.
There's rumours of Di Maria going back.
Sorry, Johnny?
Oh, well.
There's rumours of Di Maria going back.
Wow.
Yeah.
No, like I was going to say, like, because Benfica, like they do have that history, with Eusebio and everything, that you definitely look at a club that has, that has rich history. But last 20 years, I think Porto's well and truly come out in front. Their success with Jose Mourinho really, just from a legacy standpoint, just pushed them really high.
That would have been a tight one, Benfica Porto actually to call, because I don't know how it is head to head, but you'd look at them both and say, both big clubs. Porto, Champions League success. Benfica, always there or thereabouts in terms of, qualifying and playing Champions League football. So I think, geez, I wouldn't know, especially because you don't watch much Portuguese football. I used to when it was on freaking, what was it on, Johnny? What channel was it on? They used to have the Portuguese league.
C7 Sport, European football show.
Was it Setanta maybe?
Yeah.
Oh,
At
it's
the
I
time?
remember that.
I think it was Setanta, but I used to watch it. And I used to enjoy it. They have big games. It was always good to bet on. But now there's 65 channels and I can't keep up. It's so annoying.
I
In
think
it-
I was going to say another one, Marseille, PSG.
Yeah, we'll get one sec before, just to finish up the Portuguese one. You mentioned about the head-to-head, Fatty. Porto's 11 games in front, 99 to 88. In regards to titles, they both have 2 Champions Leagues each. Once again, same as Juventus, which is a reflection on Juventus in how poorly they performed over the years. In regards to domestic titles, Benfica's ahead by 8, 37 to 29. I'm going to go with Benfica on this one.
It's funny, I saw a stat the other day was saying that, I don't know if I shared it in the chat, but that Juventus, the last 4 Champions Leagues got knocked out by teams that are in less, glamorous leagues.
Outside top 5 or something.
Yeah, Ajax.
I don't know. I would say La Liga is probably on top of Serie A right now.
In terms of European performance, yeah, they have been.
Oh yeah.
Well, Farid just mentioned in regards to lower leagues. Villarreal knocked Juventus out.
Less
And
glamorous. Okay, I should say less glamorous clubs.
Mm.
Villarreal definitely a less glamorous club than
Yeah,
Juventus.
100%. That's a different story.
Out of
Yeah.
50,000 people.
What did you mention before, Darcy? Marseille and PSG?
Marseille, PSG. I think Marseille would be bigger club.
Yeah, PSG in more recent times. I think Marseille dominated a lot in the early decades in the 90s as well.
Yeah.
PSG were there or thereabouts, but obviously not as prevalent until recently. That's in my opinion anyway. I think since the money came in over the last 4 or 5 years, people started to say PSG. I used to like PSG previously. There was the Ronaldinho, the JJ Okocha connection. So they had that bit of a flair about them, that jersey, the red and blue stripe with who was the sponsor? Was it Opel?
Yeah.
That's when PSG was, you like to watch them. You'd like them to cause an upset. Now it's, no, everyone's just PSG. They know nothing else. And, it's just looks like a team of superstars trying to make the new Galacticos. Yeah.
Toxic club at the moment. That was 3-0 this morning, last night to Monaco away.
I know. I had him in a fucking multi, so I know definitely. I know.
Monaco, but why would you pick them, Johnny? They've already,
Because they have to bounce back. They have to prove themselves after
they've won.
demolished by Real Madrid.
They've won the league, Johnny. They've won the league. What do they need to do?
That club is really in a bad state at the
But
moment.
Fatty, I had him double chance just in case. And I also had Arsenal over 1.5 goals in that game, so anyone could have that game started. You guys will be surprised at this. PSG's on top, 10 games ahead, 45 to 35.
Wow.
Let's not forget, PSG, I think, became a club in the 70s. So it was a fairly new club, overall speaking. And the head-to-head, Marseille's got 10 leagues compared to PSG's 9.
Yeah,
That's a surprise.
That's changed completely though since the Qataris took over. I mean,
yeah, how how many of those 9 within the last decade?
Yeah, possibly 5 or 6. Yeah.
I think Marseille would have had one of them taken off them because of match fixing in the 90s. They did get busted for that. So,
93 or something, wasn't it?
Yeah. No, you won the Champions League too.
Yeah. So that's the one that Marseille have a Champions League on top of PSG. But in regards to, we're talking branding, I think what PSG have done in the last 10 to 15 years has overcome everything. I don't see anyone walking around with Marseille jerseys anyway.
You can't compete with that though. It's just ridiculous amount of money spent on marketing and promoting a club.
Yeah. All right. Anything else before we go? Any last ones that come to mind?
The Saudi League.
Al Hilal against Al Hu.
Al Nassr.
They both have Argentinian coaches, by the way.
So that's the hatred. We know very well, Johnny, because when we had Al Hilal in the Asian Champions League final 2014, we had a lot of support from Al Nassr fans.
They are mates.
Supporting the Wanderers, saying, we want you to beat them, we want you to beat them. And when we did beat them, and they were so angry and talking shit, all Al Nassr fans who traditionally wear yellow jerseys were all in support of the Wanderers fans and smashing Al Hilal fans and saying, suck shit, blah, 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 because they're two biggest rivals and, Asian Champions Leagues between them. But Al Hilal, a very, very successful club. Very successful club, in not just in Saudi Arabia, but in Asia.
Yeah, they've won 2 Champions Leagues since they lost to Wanderers. I think they won 2.
I know they're coloring champions now.
Yeah.
There you go. A lot of money in the Saudi League.
Yeah.
How are my mates in Egypt, Pyramids FC, going?
Well, Egypt, the other big rivalry is Al Ahly and Al Zamalek, which is a big derby there. Like, people literally kill each other over it. It's funny because we had a birthday yesterday, and they were discussing politics and football, the Arabs, as they usually do, and Al Ahly and Zamalek, the derby in Egypt was obviously hotly discussed, and they hate each other and they talk shit about each other. These people think they're scum, and blah blah blah. So
they come with like camels and swords and fight. And
well, one's a rich club. Zamalek is a rich club. It's from an affluent area, and Al Ahly is the workers' club, like people that are hard workers and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, Al Ahly are very successful though on the African stage. Though. They've won a lot of Champions Leagues, and they're always in the FIFA Club World Cup as Africa's representative almost all the time.
Seems to be a pattern, doesn't it? The workers' club and the rich club.
Yeah.
You got the Real Madrid Barca with that image. You got in Sydney, you've got the same thing with that image. Argentina, I mentioned before. So, all right, let's leave it at that. International weekend coming up, so Akram, you can have a nap the whole weekend.
I was going to say, Akram's chance to take a break, but
it's actually a very good weekend of international football.
It's huge. Africa, Europe.
It doesn't seem to care.
Australia as well on Thursday against Japan.
Yeah. I'm going to that game. It'll be interesting.
No, Graham Arnold with COVID.
I don't think we're going to make it, to be honest, unfortunately, which is terrible because we threw away a lot of points in other games that we should have gotten.
We'll go through
points.
The playoff, Addy. We'll go through the playoff.
Yeah, and play fucking Uruguay again?
Possibly.
Yeah.
Possibly.
Big game. I'm looking forward to Egypt, Senegal, Mane versus Salah. Curious to see how that's going to pan out, and if there's going to be a bit of tension between those two. Then they head back to the camps.
Let's wrap it all up.
Here's one odd before I go. If you're a betting man, $2.20 on Akram having a half beard by the next episode.
I thought I'd check your 10 on that.
Get on it.
All right, guys. See you next week for episode 66. The devil almost.
You're a fuckwit.
See ya.